So welcome back, grade 10s. We're looking at imperialism in India, and as we wrap up this mini unit, one of the things that we should be able to discuss at this moment is the idea that British imperialism was a knife of sugar. It's smooth, it's sweet, there's a promise of something good for us, but at the same time it's still in that notwithstanding. After watching 90% or 95% of the film, what has been the knife part of British imperialism? You know, if somebody said to you British imperialism in India was like knife, your evidence is what? Yes.
All the people that were massacred.
The massacre at Amritsar in 1919, right? The protest at the Dalasani salt works and the resulting brutality shown, right? So we have the not so soft paternalism of the British. When the British use might and force to force their will upon the Indian people, that's the knife part. And because of the knife part, the British have lost the moral authority to be there. You know, if they're there under this illusion of soft paternalism, we're there to help a childlike people be introduced into the modern world, into modernity. We'll teach you democracy and capitalism and modern sciences and medicine. We're here to guide you. They've lost that moral high ground by using brutality, right? By hurting people, by being the knife. What's the sugar part? Democracy. Railways. The English language. What word did we use to describe these things yesterday? Cultural inheritance, yes. Cultural inheritance. So when we think of the cultural inheritance, the English language, democracy, capitalism, these new cornerstones of a modern state, including nationalism, that's the sugar part. But even sugar can be a weapon, right? Too much sugar is bad. One of the pieces that looks like sugar to them is nationalism. How do we know nationalism, like sugar itself, can be dangerous, right? Yes.
It divides people, such as like Pakistan and India.
Yeah. So in India at this time, there's not one nationalism; there's many. You know, as we see today in 2021, many historians and many contemporary international relations specialists and political scientists are looking at India and they say, you know, it's still a powder keg because there's so many different forms of nationalism being expressed that are often in opposition to each other. Hindu, Muslim, but we also have Sikh and we have Sri Lankan and we have other territories and other subcultures. So it's definitely a place to keep an eye on. If challenged with this quote in the future, do you understand the basic essence of it? Imperialism, good and bad. And some of the things that look like it's good can also be bad. That's what we're saying. Another reason we watch this movie is so that you can actually see mercantilism. So in the movie, the mother country would be who? Britain, England, right? The British Empire. And the main colony we're looking at is India. And what is India bringing to Britain on a platter? Raw materials, specifically indigo, maybe some cotton. And they're also going to be a marketplace. They're also going to buy the products back. So that's mercantilism. And that's connected to the zero-sum competition between the British and the French and other Europeans to see whose economy can be the largest. And they think they can only do that by creating these exclusive economic zones. Adam Smith is going to challenge that way of thinking and is going to lead to global free trade as we know it today. Skipping through some of the other stuff that was more of an introductory thing, we're going to get to where is India at when we pause the film. It's at this stage. I'm going to go back to maybe 150% or 125 even so we can see the whole cartoon. So, as the cartoonist is showing, India, shown as the woman cradling a child there next to the tree, India is in danger when I pause the movie here. In danger from civil war and from famine. Because what is happening is the British are leaving. And now there's a power struggle, as we can see up in that tree fort. And the power struggle is between Muslims and the Hindu population. Who's going to be the new government? Even though Gandhi has said, it's a little crooked, even though Gandhi has a solution. He said, to keep the family together, let's make all government departments led by Muslims. And the leader will be Mr. Jinnah, the leader of Muslim nationalism. But to the Hindu population, that is not acceptable. And Hindu nationalists are beginning to see Gandhi as the threat. He's giving away too much. And we have a civil war between those that are being ethnically cleansed and displaced by the creation of independent states of Pakistan, East and West, and India in the middle. The cartoonist has tried to make the politicians sitting in that tree fort to be out of touch with the Indian people. And you may remember one of the first things that Gandhi did when he arrived in India is he tried to get into touch with the Indian people by going on his road trip. So the cartoonist is saying Gandhi and his inner circle of politicians, they have lost their connection to the reality of what the people are facing. Famine and civil war, they're wrestling over who controls India, and unfortunately, it's giving evidence that they weren't ready to be independent. That Gandhi had said throughout the movie that, that's our problem. What to do with our Muslim minority population, that's our problem. That no country on earth would rather have, a good alien government to their own local government. So he's saying that'll be our problem to deal with. Unfortunately, it's going to be dealt with civil war in 1947 and 48, and another war in 1971, and now in 2021, both sides have nuclear weapons, and they don't like each other. So when international political scientists speculate and hypothesize, where will the first real nuclear exchange happen? Because Americans have used nuclear weapons, but they've never received them. So where will an exchange of nuclear weapons happen? During the Cold War, many people thought it would be the Soviets against the Americans. Now people are saying, no, it's most likely going to be India and Pakistan that will use nuclear weapons on each other. So there is, and has been, tension remaining in the subcontinent. And that's the legacy of the British leaving. So that's where we're at in the film. And what Gandhi and his inner circle are forgetting is the poverty that is in India. Instead of addressing this, the bread and the salt that is the reality of the Indian people, they're arguing over who's going to be the next government. So, historically, we divide the world into us and them. And as long as the British were there, the British were the them, and the us were the Indian people. But now that the British are leaving, they're redefining the us and them. So now it's, we're not all us. We're different. You're Muslim, I'm Hindu, and therefore now we have an opportunity to revisit our conflict. So we don't have the Muslim-Hindu unity always that Gandhi wanted. They're both, the right and left eye of India, he said. He has a different vision. So, again, looking forward to next year, Social 20 and nationalism. We're seeing some of that with this video for sure. So I'm going to get the movie restarted, and it ended with Gandhi's hunger strike to try to stop the Civil War. And we'll see if that worked. Yeah.